Shadows of Sofia. Mateo walked through the cobblestone streets of his small university town, lost in the monotony of his thoughts. It was then that he saw her for the first time. Sitting in an outdoor cafe, wrapped in a black coat, with a distant look that seemed to contain all the secrets of the world. There was something about her, an invisible force that drew him helplessly. Without fully understanding how, he found himself sitting in front of her, with a lump in his throat and an unknown clumsiness in his voice. Time became relative in Sofia's presence. There was a halo of mystery in her way of moving, in her way of looking. Soon, Mateo was immersed in her world, a universe of luxuries and excesses that contrasted with his simple life. Dinners in exclusive restaurants, parties in imposing mansions, trips to faraway destinations. It was all a dream he didn't want to wake up to. But behind the sophistication and charm, something darker was beating beneath the surface. Sofia was not always the calculating woman Mateo knew. In her youth, she had been a fervent activist in a radical political movement. She had believed in change, in justice, but everything fell apart when the government brutally put down the uprising. The repression not only destroyed her dreams, it also took away her family and friends. The woman Mateo admired had been sculpted by loss and revenge, molded in the shadows of her own pain. At first, it all seemed like an intense, passionate, and intoxicating relationship. But little by little, Sofia began to include him in her world in subtle ways. Small favors, seemingly innocent errands. Then, more complex demands. Mateo, blinded by love, did not realize how he was becoming a key piece in a lethal game. Happiness was an illusory construction, a curtain that hid a web of deceit and crime. Over time, Mateo began to notice changes in Sofia. His gaze, once filled with tenderness, turned cold and calculating. His words stopped being sweet and became sentences. One night, driven by suspicion, he searched through his documents and found something that paralyzed him. Names, dates, medical details. A horror whispered in the darkest corners of society, clandestine organ trafficking. The woman to whom he had given his heart was part of something monstrous. The discovery broke him. Guilt consumed him. How much had he ignored? How much had he allowed? The idealism that defined him crumbled. But it was too late. Every action, every favor, had tied him more to that world. He couldn't go back, but he couldn't go on either. Desperation pushed him to only one way out: escape. He planned his escape meticulously. Every movement, every slip calculated to avoid Sofia's gaze. The night of his departure, the mansion was in a spectral silence. With his heart pounding in his chest, he slipped through the dark corridors and out a back door. He ran without looking back, leaving behind the world of shadows that had nearly devoured him. Far from it all, he found refuge in a small coastal town. Working in a cafe, he rebuilt his life amid the scent of the sea and the murmur of tourists. But Sofia's shadow never quite disappeared. His nights were restless, plagued by memories and the constant feeling of being watched. One day, as he walked along the beach at dusk, he felt a familiar presence. He turned and there she was, her silhouette against the setting sun. There were no words, just an envelope extended to him. Sofia walked away silently, leaving him trembling. With his heart pounding, he opened the letter. They were words of regret, confessions intertwined with a desire for redemption. And at the end, a single phrase: sometimes the only way to find the light is by facing our shadows. Mateo looked out at the horizon. For the first time in a long time, he felt real peace. He had found closure, though not the one he expected. He knew the road to redemption would be long, but he also knew he was ready. He was ready to face his shadows and, finally, find the light.